Oh, you're fine. Oh, yes. I did. Yeah. There were
It's 5:30, and let's welcome everybody. And please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Anderson,
Present.
Bedifer,
President.
Kuchar,
Present.
Dubé,
President.
Rabish present, Yaris,
Present.
and Holstein excused.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. The weather wasn't quite as bad this time, although I could only see about a quarter mile up on 75. Yeah, all the way from Saginaw, so it wasn't great. Road was clear though. Any additions, deletions, changes to the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Anybody from the community have any comments about the agenda items? Anything on agenda? Any community comments? Okay. Student Spartans.
Kyle's doing it.
Kyle is doing that. Right on time, sir. We are at the Student Spartans.
So our middle school student of the month is Will Lewinsky, nominated by Ms. Maxwell. Will is a hard worker and a positive influence on the class. He is well organized, prepared each day, and attentive during the teaching lesson. Your student of the month for the middle school, Mr. Will Lewinsky. And your high school student of the month is Spencer Socher, nominated by Mr. Stonebeck. Mr. Stonebeck had to say that Spencer is an outstanding helper in the classroom. Upon entering the room, he checks as to whether the class will need textbooks for the day, and if so, delivers one to each desk before the student arrives. He then collects books at the end of the hour. He puts forth the highest levels of effort on his assignments and is always focused and ready to go. I believe that he serves as an amazing role model for his peers. Your student of the month of the high school, Mr. Spencer Socher.
Thank you, sir. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda and pay the bills totaling $563,177.59.
We have motion support. Any discussion on these items? Roll call vote, please.
Bedifer,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Dubé,
Yes.
Yaris,
Yes.
Rabish, yes, Kuchar,
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you. Communication with Mr. Kowalczyk.
Thank you, President Kuchar. A couple things today. On March 1st, we had a countywide emergency meeting. We met and discussed some grants that they're working on for Stop the Bleed kits. We discussed the reunification location. And I think you may remember a few meetings ago, I talked about they at first wanted us, the whole county, to have reunification at the Civic Arena in Bay City. And they got the hint that that wouldn't work for us. So we're doing something much closer here within our district. And we talked about that a little bit. And then we also discussed the mapping for critical incidents that all of the schools received a grant for. And that will help identify locations and help if there ever was an emergency where the emergency responders would know which way to go and those sort of things. So we talked about those things. Blue emergency lights, continuing with the emergency theme. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but we have one on the front of the building near the band room, in the back by the high school gym, and then Central has one, and so does Linwood. And these are lights for, in case of a lockdown, and if students are outside, like we have a lot of students outside with band practice or PE classes, or if it's at lunchtime for the elementaries. If there ever was a lockdown, we would not want students trying to get back in the building. So we have these blue lights that if they go off, students will know that there's a lockdown in progress. You know, go away from the building, and we'll talk about those areas with where to go. So they're not trying to get in, especially at lunchtime with our high school students with coming back too. So those are up and running. We also are getting 2 inside the gyms, one in the middle school, one in the high school. Those are not up yet, but they were here today looking at where to put them, where would be the best place for them. So, and that will help in case there's a lockdown or an announcement, because sometimes in the gyms during lunchtime it's very loud, or even if you're playing games in a gym class, you might not be able to hear the announcement. So those lights will also be in there where it's a little more noisy at times. Any questions about any of those things? Parentguidance.org, we've been talking about this since September, and it's finally up and running now. The grant came through, and we now have the full everything in full with parentguidance.org, including the parent coaching, and that's one of the big things that parents can get up to a half hour a week of work with a coach. I actually signed up and did this last week just to see the process and to talk to one of the coaches. It took me minutes, not that long at all, to put my information in. And I did meet with the coach for the first time. Very pleasant, nice, comforting, you know, and I told her that I was the superintendent and I wanted to see how this works. So we scheduled another appointment for a couple weeks, you know, just to talk and hear how things are going. So it's great, and I really hope that the parents are able to use that. We also have the medallion now on all of our websites. Mr. Bosworth helped get that there, so any parent that needs information, they click that medallion on our web pages, and it takes them right to the parentguidance.org. Terry Camp from TV12 is supposed to be in tomorrow to interview me about this. They were very interested in hearing about this, especially with all the mental health things that are going around. So that could be an interview that's happening soon. Well, the interview's tomorrow. I just don't know when they will put it on the news. So that's the parent guidance. We're very happy to have that. Any questions about parent guidance? Grants available. Today is the deadline for the Northern Bay Foundation grant. Today at midnight, I think. And then the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe grants are due to me by the end of this week as well. So staff have a few options for grants, and they've been made aware of those. And finally, always looking at different ways of getting the word out to our stakeholders and parents about communication. So this month, March 1st, I did start a YouTube, kind of not really a show, but a YouTube communication that I'll do at the beginning of each month. We do our weekly notification with what's happening this week, but I thought there may be something at the beginning of next week that why would I wait until next Monday to tell them? So bigger things, maybe we'll do some interviews, and I know we've done that in the past as well on YouTube. So we'll show some of the cool things that are going on, activities within our building, within our district, and people program, just kind of get the word out of all the cool things happening here at Pinconning schools. That's it.
Great, thank you. Any questions, Brandy? Student representative report from Jasmine Johnson.
All right. So for Student Council, the members of Student Council successfully sponsored their winter blood drive on Tuesday, March 7th. 17 units of blood were collected at the drive, which will be used to help 51 hospital patients in need within our own community. The members of Student Council will be sponsoring the Senior Pole Awards on Wednesday, March 29th in the middle school gymnasium. This senior-only event will feature the results of the senior superlatives voted on by members of the class of 2023 earlier this year. Band Festival. Pinconning Middle School Band and High School Band attended the Middle School Band and Orchestra Association, MSDOA, District 9, Band Festival in Alcona on Tuesday, March 7th. Both bands provided quality performances and received valuable feedback from the judges. Bowling. The bowling team competed at regionals in Sheboygan earlier this month. In team competition, the girls team had a breakthrough performance, finishing in 6th place out of 14 teams at the regional. The boys team placed 12th out of 15 teams. Top performers in individual competition for the girls team were Layla St. Peter, who placed 25th, and Casey Ray Krevinghouse, who placed 27th out of 81 bowlers. Top performers in individual competition for the boys team included Logan Milliman, who placed 21st, and Ethan Miller, who placed 50th out of 96 bowlers. The bowling team had their year-end gathering at Midland Curling Center on Friday, March 10th, where the athletes were able to test their hands at a new sport. Band Booster Trivia. The Band Boosters sponsored Trivia Night on Saturday, March 4th. Over 20 students and adult teams competed in the event, with the winning team successfully answering 82% of the questions posed. Profits generated from the event will be used to support the middle school and high school band programs. Esports. The spring season of esports is off and running. The Spartan Chariot Mario Kart team, Dylan Krevinghouse, Quentin Gates, Eli Goodman, Griffin Morin, and Cooper Sherman started the season 6-2 and are currently ranked 39th out of over 250 teams in the Eastern League. A huge thank you to the Pinconning Township for the use of the Township Recreation Building for matches, as the team is currently unable to play on campus due to connective issues. The Spartan Spear Rocket League team, Jacob Stonebeck, Kyle Brew, Lucas Hartfelder, and Julian Rodriguez have compiled a 6 out of 6 record, good for 20th out of over 70 teams in the state of Michigan. The Spartan Shield Rocket League team, Hunter Martin and Kenneth King, began the season 3-9, fighting gallantly despite being down on the end. And dance team. The dance team competed in the Spirit Shine dance competition in Brandon, Michigan on February 25th. The team placed first in small group jazz, first in large group jazz, and second in hip hop. Overall, the team earned the 3rd highest score. The dance team performed all 11 dances from the 2022-2023 fall and winter season to a large crowd in the high school gym last night. Funds generated at the performance will be used to offset expenses in the coming seasons. Powerlifting. Members of the powerlifting team competed at states at Kearsley High School in Flint on Saturday, March 11th. Alex Shigulski placed 10th in his weight class. Grace Ballard placed 3rd in her weight class, and Jasmine Brazo placed 2nd in her weight class. Wrestling. Tyler Brooks and Darius Cooper competed at Wrestling States. Each compiled a record of 1 win and 2 losses and were knocked out in the blood round.
Thank you. It's really great for the dance team. You know, it's tough competition. And the band trivia night was really good, except we finished short, Mr. Stonebeck. Got to come back a little bit next year. Need 2 more points. Report from administrative staff. Anybody? All right.
So last week we had kindergarten registration at Linwood. Then we had 13 kindergarten students register. A few more packets were handed out and waiting for those to be returned. Are you pleased with the 13 we have so far? Today we had Mrs. Rosecrans started her reading club for grades 3 through 5. We had 10 students in attendance, and we're hoping that more permission slips get returned for next Monday's session. The kids are going to be coding robots. And then for March Reading Month, we're having a door decorating contest. And I'm inviting all board members to come to Linwood next week, Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 3:30, or Friday till noon, to be our judges. So if you're able to take a late lunch or early lunch or something during your day, that would be great. Stop by, see all the doors that are getting decorated this week. And finally, I'm also inviting a board member to come be a mystery reader. For next week or the week after, we'll have some dates that are available. If you're interested, email me and we can figure something out. Mr. Paul Check was our mystery reader today. He read to all K through 5 students in the gym. We had another mystery reader that went to individual classrooms. So whatever would work for you. It'd be great if you want to come on down. Thanks.
Thank you. Trying to look at my schedule, see if I can make some. Anybody else?
Just the latest thing, we have finally got a basketball camp. It's gonna be June 10th and June 11th. It'll be presented by Huffman. It'll be $75 a camper. We'll get 2 days, 2 sessions. And the nice thing is we'll use our gym. And then they'll actually donate 10% back to our athletic fund. So we hope that this is gonna be a start of something we can do over years to come. So June 10th, June 11th, spread the word. It is all on Facebook, but an actual flyer will be coming out here at the right now we're opening up Pinconning first, 2nd through 12th grade. We might take a look at the numbers and kind of go from there. But we will kind of promote it.
I would think the same thing, like kids.
Yeah.
Pinconning, so.
Thank you. Other administrators?
Just wanted to give an update, our parent advisory committee, met just before this was the second time. Lots of good discussions, with the parent group. They're, such crucial stakeholders in our community and our school. We had a lot of, topics that we talked about, and I really see this group being a real positive, influence and creating some positive change for our school here, so just excited to keep that going.
Thank you. Anybody else? Good. Right. Any board committees meeting? Think so. Andy, you were looking at the budget committee? Or-
Yeah, for next week, or not next, the next board meeting.
Okay.
If we could. And I know I did request, right? The first thing I said was if we could meet before the meeting. I know sometimes people can't, if they can't, they go after.
So it's.
You and Tom.
Yep. SA, E3. So,
What time?
4:45, 4:30.
whatever you want.
4:30 would be best, okay.
We got that set. All right, non-consent agenda, strategic planning services.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the Michigan Association of School Boards for strategic planning service at a cost not to exceed $8,900.
We have motion support. Any discussion?
Thanks for putting your time to that.
Yeah, I didn't do much, but we got a lot of work coming ahead of us, I know that. And then just to highlight that that's $7,900 for the initial setup and $1,000 for the 1 year follow-up, just to kind of see how everything went and make any adjustments. So we have motion support. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bedifer,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Doobie,
Yes.
Yaris,
Yes.
Rabish, yes, Kuchar,
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next to the stadium sound system.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the bid from Crescent Digital for a new stadium sound system not to exceed $89.95.
Motion support for that. Any discussion?
Give you a lead time on
Yeah, no, not sure. ASAP, as soon as I talk to them.
I know we talked about this. Where are the funds coming from? For the sound system?
Was it? Yeah.
Capital projects.
Okay.
Any
that?
other?
I didn't hear that, but I think I know.
Capital project.
Any more discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Bedifer,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Doobie,
Yes.
Yaris,
Yes.
Rabish, yes, Kuchar,
Yes,
6-0.
thank you. Public comments. Anybody like to address the board at this time? Yes, sir.
As Andy mentioned, today is the deadline for the Bay Area Community Foundation grants. I'm submitting a grant on behalf of the city But in talking to, one of the folks down there, who, reviews a lot of their scholarship applications, she mentioned that she is seeing a lot of applications from Pinconning students with little or nothing for community involvement. I know that it's been a discussion with the board before about volunteer hours. There was some talk from former board members about dropping the requirement for volunteer hours. There are probably some kids from Pinconning who are gonna lose out on scholarships because they had nothing. And as member of the Chamber of Commerce, that's always looking for help. And I know every group locally is looking for help. I know that this has been something that's been discussed before, but really think this needs to be emphasized that, if you're gonna have a requirement for volunteer hours, it needs to be stressed, and it needs to be something that is not just left until 2 weeks before graduation, when they gotta get it, and suddenly they come up with 25 or 30 or whatever the number of hours is, signed off by a parent. So, just something for the board to consider. Like I said, I know there was discussion about, from former board members, about letting it drop. Haven't really heard anything since then, so I'm assuming that it's still in place, but something you folks need to be.
You know, it's still in place, and since my son's a senior, we got notification last month of where his hours were at.
Okay.
So not wait till last minute, and we're gonna, hopefully it'll come back up. I know the last 3 years with COVID, they didn't have the volunteer opportunities, so we got rid of that requirement for graduation. So this year's seniors, I think, need 5 hours, unfortunately, but it is 5 hours a year for 20 total. So hopefully you'll start seeing that come up. But yeah, volunteerism is
Well,
big deal.
and the fact, like I say, that there's kids that are gonna lose out on scholarships because of that.
Yep.
May need to be stressed to them that, that is something that you shouldn't be leaving blank on an application. If you don't have something to put in there, you
Go do
can
something.
find something.
Thank you. Anybody else? Public comment? All right, discussion items from the board. I did get two referrals from MASP regarding the strategic plan. Tecumseh was one, and I forget the other. At least I thought it was Tecumseh. So if you want any questions answered, I know I sent an email out, but I can still try to get that. I did get a reply as far as when they wanted to start. They said spring or fall, and I was just, well, as soon as we could get this passed. And so I don't know when they're gonna be able to fit us on the schedule, but now that we have this, move forward, and I'd like to get the process started sooner as opposed to later. But it's really gonna depend on when we can get their coach down here. So I will let you know as soon as I do on that. Any other discussion items?
I guess I'll thank Rich for being so responsive on the janitorial issues. Listen to the staff. I think they're gonna be glad to hear you're going back to Arnold's on some things. So that was a quick move, and everybody's gonna appreciate that.
The actual transfer over is gonna be a process, because we have to replace all of the dispensers. But Jim and, Stephen here at this building was pretty integral in that process too, but they did speak with all of the day custodians to make sure that, I didn't want to jump and have them.
It's a lot of work for them.
Yeah,
They
they have to
changed it
know their
over,
process.
changed it back, but it needs to be done.
Thank you.
Discussion. All right, seems none. We have a few closed sessions to end the night. So we need a motion to go into the fifth one.
Need to go in closed session?
That is for student discipline, for student 22-2302. Just we have motion to support. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Yaris,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Bedifer,
Yes.
Doobie,
Yes.
Ravish, yes, Kuchar,
Yes.
6-0.
All right, thank you. We're going to closed session, so we won't conduct any further business other than these items. So, you guys